Hi, Armand here with the Integral Astrology forecast for September 2018. Well, after that long, hot summer of 2018, and I don't care if you were below the equator, it was summer. After that long, astrologically speaking, after that long, hot summer, we get a little bit of cooler weather in September. Not that nothing is going to be happening, actually, quite a bit is happening, but I feel that we can work at it step at a time, which is helpful, and there won't be something new coming on your plate every single day, which was pretty much the way it was for July and August. A lot of the issues that have been hanging around for the last 6 months or even since the beginning of the year are going to, there's a good potential to resolve them. I wouldn't say they're all going to go away, but with the potential to resolve them. Speaking of resolving things, I think you should resolve to push the subscribe button that is down below, down below over here, and hit the like too. Little thumbs uppy like thing. That's nice. It makes me feel good. Come on. Don't hit the thumbs down. Don't do that. It's not nice. Just move on to something else. Also, don't forget to take a trip out to armanddiaz.com, where, among other things, you can catch a little bit of my schedule. I'm going to be in London giving talks at the very beginning of the month, and then my colleague Margaret Gray and I will be giving a workshop on relationship compatibility and astrology in Dublin on September 2nd. That's Sunday. And I will spend the entire back half of the month in California giving talks in San Diego and northwards all the way to Sacramento. You can catch the full schedule there. I'd love to see you for the talks or a consultation or whatever if you're on the West Coast. So check that out. Now, down to business. And business is the thing that you're going to get down to, because the first thing that happens, that I'm talking about at any rate, is Saturn station on the 6th of September. Right at the middle of the first week of September. And to tell you the truth, if you're in the U.S., it's probably really pretty much describes that very first day back after Labor Day. Now, this is very much a kind of work-oriented feel. A lot of responsibilities, this is like, boom, summer's over, we're back to work type of thing. Yeah, I don't love the sound of that personally, but it probably won't be too bad. It just means that this is a time to work, be diligent. It's Saturn, so you put out the effort. Saturn loves that, but then he also puts delays and frustrations in the way. So, try. Don't say, oh, forget it, Saturn stationing, I'm not going to get anywhere, I'm just going to take the day off. You won't feel good. Try. Put in the effort, but, understand that results may take some time. The other thing about the Saturn station, one other thing about the Saturn station is it's not a great time to try to get away with anything. This is not the time to be driving over the speed limit, if you take my meaning. Don't sneak out of work 5 minutes early or something like that. You got to sort of play by the rules from the 5th and the 6th. Also, watch out your health and vitality. Nothing bad. It's not a bad thing. Don't worry about it. It's not a bad thing. But, there's often like little minor bugs that go around, little sniffly colds and stomachy things or whatever, when Saturn is stationing. And they can take hold because they can sort of depress our vitality a little bit when Saturn stations. So take good care of yourself. Don't burn the candle at both ends, or burn the midnight oil, or burn anything. It's going to take good care of yourself. And if you do feel yourself coming down with something, take care of yourself. Go to the doctor if you're sick. But, you could probably shrug it off a lot of the time. So it's just like a day-long thing. It's not like you're really getting sick. You just feel a little ugh. All right. Now, the next day, your vitality may also be a little bit low, or it may be very high, because the sun is going to oppose Neptune. This is like a diametric opposite energy from the Saturn station. Saturn station affecting the 5th and the 6th, bleeding over into the 7th, is very realistic, practical, grounded, what you gotta do type of thing. The Sun-Neptune aspect on the 6th and the 7th has a very different feel. It's very unrealistic. You may see real issues, but you probably don't see them in proportion. The big danger here is that you make heroes and demons out of ordinary people. This is, the knight in shining armor, the princess in the tower, the dragon, and all of this. Everything is grand drama when it could otherwise just be an ordinary situation. Coming blended with the Saturn station, we may see things a little bit darker than we ordinarily would. We may be a little bit more on the pessimistic side with things. At least some of us might be. Whatever you feel, wonderful, terrible, it's a movie. Watch it, enjoy it, go to sleep during it, but don't take it too seriously. Even the Saturn station won't take it too seriously. Great time for meditation. Mars squares Venus the next day on the 8th of September, and that's usually a very passionate kind of aspect. I would think I would have hopes for it. Coming the day before the new moon, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to feel. Make the most of it. Give it a shot. What the hell? The new moon itself is on September 9th. It's the new moon in Virgo. Now, new moons are kind of spiritual time of going inward and setting your intentions and so on. But the sign of Virgo, we're dealing with a pretty practical, pragmatic new moon. It is, in fact, the new moon that happens around this time every year where we sort of think, what needs to get done by the end of the year? What are my tasks for the end of the year? What needs to be accomplished? That's kind of what you should be thinking about. That's what you should be setting your intention for. What needs to be accomplished? It is very good for making a list of what needs to be done around the home, what needs to be done at work and in career. It's probably a good idea to think about what you'd like to do in terms of health and well-being. Maybe Saturn gave you a little message a couple of days earlier. So, it's a good time maybe to start a diet or to look at an exercise program or something like that. All summer long, Mars was retrograde, and that wasn't a great time to begin an exercise program. So, now that Mars is direct, we have no excuses. Boy, that Mercury retrograde in July and August, that was a bear, wasn't it? Gosh, I had to redo my travel plans a bunch of times. It was just, and every time I redid it, something else would happen. It was just like this, the constant one more thing. It was just amazing. A lot of people had big complaints about it, not just because of the usual snafus, but because of big things that kind of went wrong. Anyway, the Virgo new moon, you're setting your intentions, what needs to get done by the end of the year. Astrologers would say by the end of the astrological year in March, but you can sort of use New Year's as a good deadline for yourself anyway, before the holiday thing takes over. Next up on the list, not exactly next up on the list, I'm going to skip over something and come back to it, is on September 13th when Mercury opposes Neptune. Now, you could look at this as being like a Mercury retrograde kind of aspect. Okay, I'm not saying people lie, but they don't even really know what the truth is. It's just too easy to come up with stuff. You just, you gild the lily. You just make everything look better or worse or what have you. It's just very hard to get a good sense of truth on that. So the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, contracts, any kind of major deal, just defer it. Great opportunity again for meditation, creative writing. It's a very creative time. You could really have some brilliant stuff going on. Great for getting in touch with spiritual stuff. It's just not very good for practical energy. It's a little holiday that you're taking from the practical world on the 12th through the 14th. On the 18th, Mars squares Uranus. Very hot, impulsive aspect. If you got something to do, if you have something that you need to express, if you're sure what it has to be, do it. This is great energy to propel you forward. Free-floating energy, just I got to do something, could get you into a little bit of trouble though. Okay, this is the sort of thing that you want to have a goal in mind beforehand, because if you just latch on to something, it could be a little bit of an issue. Be aware that however well you handle the energy, some folks are going to be a little bit prickly around this time, 17th, 18th of September. There's going to be some prickly energy out there. Not everybody's going to be having a great time of it. Be careful driving. Be careful. Just be careful, because you never know what sets somebody off. It's not a warning or anything like that. Don't get scared. I'm just saying that people are liable to be a little bit hotter than usual around this time, because it's a very high energy time. High energy doesn't mean bad. It's like when you're driving down the highway very fast with a lot of cars. That's high energy. You can get someplace, but it's different than if you're driving along a country road by yourself. And it's a different thing. So very high energy time around the 17th, 18th. Use it wisely. The full moon on September 24th is square to Saturn, and I feel that the full moon should be a lot of fun. I mean, and in the sign of Aries, it should be a lot of fun. And the sun is in Libra. Because the sun gets into Libra, that's the autumnal or Libra equinox on the 22nd, and then goes right on to the full moon and on the 24th, and you would think to yourself, wow, this has got to be really a fun time. Moon in Aries, relationship, whatever. Full moons are always charged times, no matter what happens. Okay, that's true, except this moon is square Saturn, and so it might be a little bit like you want to have fun, but oh gosh, I really should have finished that work. It could be something along those lines, or I'd like to get out and play, but oh my God, I gotta finish. I can't leave until I get this done. Flip it around a little bit. It could also be that there's a little bit of a pressure between I'm going to do what I want to do, and then what my partner or my friends or just others in the world in general want me to do. That's a theme that was very big this past few months, and so now maybe we come to see how it's working out. That Mars-Uranus aspect in September, which will sort of play out through over the course of the week. I just wanted to quickly point out that is a repeat of an aspect that happened at the first week of August and also in the middle of May. And so issues that came on your plate in the middle of May, I use that plate thing a little bit too much this week, the issues that arose around the middle of May had to work through in early August, may finally get resolved now. So keep that in mind. Moving on, Pluto stations on September 30th. And Pluto stations, some folks get hot under the collar. Sometimes there's a sort of implosive energy, feeling of dread, but there's also a feeling of empowerment for a lot of folks. The real question for just about everybody is, who's in control? Who's in control of your life? That plays back to the full moon. That plays back to the Mars-Uranus. That's who's in control. Again, these are the issues we've been dealing with for months, but now we're kind of dealing with them one at a time. Now, Venus. I saved the big one. It's not the big one. I say this. Maybe it's the best for last, because Venus, the planet of love and relationship, is going to aspect Saturn and Uranus on the 12th. And generally speaking, if it wasn't for that Mercury Neptune aspect sort of fogging things up, generally speaking, we would look at this as being a very energized time. The way it happens to work out this time around, it suggests that relationships that are in a good place might do some rearranging, rewriting the script of your relationship. That's one way I would put it. Relationships that are under strain, that could be a bigger deal for them. And relationships that are just beginning, it could be a time when you feel that things are moving very rapidly. However, as of September 3rd, Venus is in the shadow of her retrograde. She's going to retrograde from October 5th to November 16th. So whatever comes up, good, bad, or indifferent, around this time, actually really in relationship all through September, but keep your eye on like the 8th and the 12th, whatever comes up at around this time is very likely up for a rework in the not too distant future. Probably go back over the same issues again in November or October during the retrograde and not really come to the final answer until sometime later in the year, November or December, before we really know where things are with it. So work with it, but don't demand or expect the final answer. All right, that's an awful lot for you. That's an awful lot for you. It's a good month. Have a great one, and I'll see you back here soon.